Hey guys, James here from Embark. Today we're looking at communication for creatives, part 2. So, in part 1, we looked over internal communication and written communication. Today we're going to be looking at visual communication and verbal communication. So if you guys haven't seen part 1 already, I suggest you go back and watch that before you watch this one, just because it leads into it quite nicely. And there's an exercise in the first part which is quite important. So if you did watch part 1 and you've done the business plan exercise, then hopefully you are more focused and you've got a sharper picture in your mind at how to communicate your business effectively. Regardless of how far along you are in your venture, there's always time to revisit your marketing and your website and things like that, just to check over them. And this will be equally as valuable for those who haven't even started thinking about that, or they've only just started thinking about marketing, advertising, and the website, just branding in general. As you know, a huge part of the population process things visually. With the invention of TVs and now mobile phones, you have a crisp, clear display at your fingertips. It's always with you on your person. Of course, you want your ads, your branding, your website to be visually appealing, but more than that, you want your product or service to be well communicated visually. Otherwise, at best, a viewer is going to be like, well, yeah, that's a cool advert. And at worst, they're not even going to know who you are or what you do or what you're providing. It's not just enough to have great design. You need to have great storytelling. You need to be able to evoke emotions. You need to help people to think and be intrigued. This is something a lot of companies fall short on. They either go 100% design or 100% storytelling. They'll either have the most beautiful website with the perfect colours, with hardly any information, or they'll just have a black and white website just with too much information. The art is somewhere in between. Great design, but also good copy that tells the person exactly what they need to know or how to feel. Make sure to pick each colour for a reason. Typography, images, make sure it all has a reason. This leads to great visual communication. It reminds me of this great quote: perfection is achieved not when there's nothing more to add, but when there's nothing more to take away. I believe that's by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And visual communication is not just all about branding and websites and things like that. You'll need to be able to visually communicate all day, every day. As a creative, you'll be a natural storyteller through whichever medium that you choose. You'll be able to evoke emotions. That's a natural path for you. When it comes to selling your product or service, you're also going to have a good offline presence. Going to meetups, local networking events, things like that, you're going to have to visually communicate there in person, and you're going to do this 2 different ways. The first way is through body language. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on this too much because there's a huge amount of blog posts and videos and things out there that are going to do a better job of explaining all the detail that when it comes to body language. But there's a few things I will go over. So when you're speaking to a customer or you're at a networking event speaking to a potential client or something along those lines, you want to always remember to have your arms open, palms open. You want to be in an open position. If you have your arms crossed and you will feel close to them. You want arms open, body open, and this is like you're already engaging with them because you're not blocking them. There's great communication there just through openness. And obviously make sure that you're nodding occasionally, just so that they know that you're listening to their points and that you're taking them on board. Another basic to know is that if people are mirroring you, if you clench your hands together and they copy that, or you then move to cross-armed or whatever it is, if you move in positions and they're mirroring your positions, it means that you're in sync and they're really listening intently. So if you see that, you know that they're listening to you. So, and vice versa, if you naturally start doing that to someone else, you're clearly in touch with them, you're in sync with them, and you're listening to them intently as well. So body language is really important, and there's two small examples of ways to be open and to communicate well with your body language. And the second way is facial expressions. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail with this, just remember to smile, nod, because that smile is going to again be inviting, whereas if you're scowling or you've scrunched up your face, again it's going to be a bit of a turn off for people. They'll see that a mile away and not want to approach you. So always be smiling, always be happy, and that will draw people in to want to converse with you, and that's how you can visually communicate really well just with your face. Now, the final type of communication I want to look at is verbal communication. Verbal communication is near enough written and visual communication bundled together. It is tone, language, body language, facial expressions all mixed together. You want to be as thoughtful and clinical as you are with your written communication. Some people will prefer written communication, some people will prefer verbal communication. You want to try both out and find out which one you're best at or most comfortable with, and then that's the one that you're going to try and use more frequently in everyday life, or use more frequently when it comes to your business, when it comes to selling your product or service, things like that. So if it's verbal, do podcast, do YouTube, utilize the services and the platforms that you can in order to show people how well articulated you are, if that's the best way that you communicate. If it's written, then obviously do blog posts or write ebooks and articles or put stuff out on Twitter or Medium, whatever it is. Utilize the best communication that you have. Now, there's benefits and downsides to each type of communication, so obviously have that in the forefront of your mind when you're thinking about which one to use in which scenario. If you're communicating verbally in person, obviously it's great. You can read body language and facial expressions and use that to understand how people are communicating with you, and obviously you can use those to your advantage to communicate effectively with other people as well. Because you're in person, you also have the benefit of saying, was that clear enough? Do you want me to go through that again? Did I make myself clear in that? Or did you get all of that? You know, you have that ability to just check in on them and say, did I communicate that well? Is there something that you're not quite sure on? If so, I'll go back over it and try another way. Now, the downside is obviously you are talking. It's just coming out of your mouth. There's no way to proofread or review what you're saying before you say it. You might think about it while someone else is talking and then come in, but if you're just talking naturally, then there's not really that much room to really be concise and work through what you're going to say before you say it. You just have to come out and say it. So that's one of the downsides. It's not going to be as well formed as your written words would be. And this is why some people prefer written communication, because they can read, write, review, change anything they need to and make it perfect before they put it out onto a platform, before they tweet that out, before they make their blog post live. So when it comes to your creative business, written and visual communication is going to dominate your marketing. Verbal communication is going to help dramatically with dealing with customers in person or managing employees or freelancers. And it's also going to help you with persuasion, which is going to be one of the key things that you'll need in order to sell. And ultimately, your internal dialogue, your internal communication will be your guiding light. It will be your North Star. The constant communication you have with yourself will be the thing that helps you stay motivated, and it will give you direction. Work on all types of communication every day. Work on all facets every day, whether it be through emails, talking to someone. Just constantly think about communication and how you can be better with each different type of communication that we've gone over. At the end of the day, each one of these is a skill, and if you want to be good at a skill, you have to practice and you have to learn it well. The better you become, the less likely mistakes are going to happen. Therefore, your communication is going to be better in every different facet, and therefore your business is going to run smoother, and you're going to be able to increase your sales, and you're going to be able to motivate your employees better, all these different things. So guys, that's all from me today. That was part 2 of communication for creatives. If you haven't seen part 1, please go back and watch it. It will link in nicely with this one. And don't forget to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll have new episodes here every single week. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you in the next one. This has been James for Embark. See ya.